Hi guys, this is Raina with nonbiasedreviews.com. Today I am not here to review a mattress or a pillow. Actually, today I am here to take you on a journey with me. I just came back from a very, very, very long trip. Almost a never-ending trip, if you want. I don't know if you heard the news last weekend. I was one of those passengers on the Air France 66 flight that had to take a emergency landing, and we had to just land in the middle of nowhere in Goose Bay in Canada, and we had to, and we're so lucky to be alive, and I'm so lucky to be here to tell you the tale of my trip. All right, so the whole trip starts to begin with, why did I leave Arizona? The reason why was a very sad event back home. I had to go and say goodbye to my dad, who left us, sadly. But the trip to begin with, to go to Lebanon, whether it's a fun trip or a sad trip, this is the first time I do a sad event, though, you have to be prepared mentally and physically. It's a very long trip, okay? But I didn't expect for this trip to be super long coming back. So we left Lebanon a week later. We said bye to my mom. We were so worried about her. She's going to be alone by herself without her 50 plus years partner. And we thought, well, it's going to be okay. We're thinking about my mom and my dad the whole time, and my siblings. I have a big family. We left. It was time to go, come back and see my kids and my husband, and whom I left for a whole week. I'm so happy I did. I almost took my 3-year-old with me, and I am so glad I did not. And here's the reason why. So we went to the Lebanese airport, so Beirut airport, at 2 a.m. was our flight or our trip to Charles de Gaulle, to Paris. The trip went fine. It was nice and smooth, very emotional leaving, and it was super sad. We made it on time, 5:45 a.m., landed in Paris. It was amazing and quiet and beautiful. The airport, I have footage of the airport, super quiet. Everything was just, the shops were not open yet, some of them. We were just sitting there chilling. We went through the airport. We found our gate, our terminal and gate, and just sat there hanging out. I had my little coffee in the morning at the airport. I talked to my family. Of course, they jumped on the tracking, the flight tracking website as soon as we left Lebanon. Whether it was my family here in the USA or back home, they were both in two different worlds, trying to track our flights. We were just communicating, telling them we're okay, we made it. Okay, 11 and a half more hours and we'll be in LA, so we're gonna jump on an airplane from Charles de Gaulle to LA. That flight was the Airbus 380, and it was flight 066 or 66 Air France, going from Charles de Gaulle to Los Angeles. And I'm like, okay, 11 and a half hours, that feels like forever and ever, but whatever, we need to go home and it's time. So we boarded, everything was nice and smooth again, but I only had 2 hours once I land in LAX to go through customs, pick up my bag, run and go find my gate, my terminal, so I can take my flight to Phoenix. Like, everything was just, I have to run to make it on time, otherwise I'm going to miss my flight. That's everything I was worried about, like, I don't have enough time, but we're going to make it, let's do it. We boarded, everything was fine, but we didn't take off until like an hour later. So the flight 66 Air France was an hour late, and I'm like, oh gosh, we're not gonna make it on time. We're not gonna catch my flight. we're an hour late. We had to wait for this one very lucky passenger. At first I was very pissed at that passenger. Now I'm so happy he missed his flight. But we had to wait for him, but he didn't show up. Second, we had to clear his bags. I don't know how many bags he had, but we had to get them off the airplane, so that took an hour. An hour later, we just took off, headed to LAX. The airplane was full. It was 497 passengers and around 24 members of the flight crew, between pilots and the crew members and flight attendants. So we started flying, and as soon as he turned the seatbelt off, I thought I'd just walk around and see if I can find maybe a seat or two that may be empty and I can lay down. It's really gonna be a long one, and I'm really still sleepless, and I haven't had a good time really in Beirut, so I need to rest a little bit. So I was so lucky to find two seats next to this one lady. They're empty seats, but this lady was so sweet and nice. She understood my situation. I told her I'm going to be super tired. Can I just share those seats with you? We can take shifts. And luckily she was speaking my language, and we were able to communicate really easily, and she was very understanding. So I'm like, yeah, let's just take shifts sleeping, because she has the same, flight as well, and same time flying, and she's also tired like that. Anyway, I went back and forth many times, and then went back up to my seat, which was 12C, way up front by the galley, or the kitchen area and the restrooms. And the other seat was way in the back by the other end of the airplane restrooms. I went back up, decided to just grab a drink and have some food, and later on when I'm sleepy, I'll just go back and ask her if I can sleep now. A few hours later, I don't know how many hours, I watched the movie, and then I was like, yeah, let's just go and check and see if I can take a little nap. She was super sweet. She was like, yeah, go ahead and take a nap. I just woke up. Okay, awesome. I went to sleep. I have no idea how many hours passed, but all of a sudden, it felt like, and I don't know how I keep imagining this scene, a scene from, how like King Kong can just get a hold of your airplane and then shakes it really, really hard. That's that feeling. And a very loud thud. I almost fell off my seat because I wasn't buckled in. I was laying down. And I stared at that lady who was just, you can see like horror in her face, and mine as well. I'm like, we're staring at each other. Like, something's not okay. This is not turbulence. It's especially the crew members just running in a very professional way if you want, but you can tell something's up. Something's not okay. Trying to stow away stuff, secure things so they don't fall or roll all over the aisles. And definitely something was not okay. We didn't know how not okay it was until I stood up. I looked at my sister, who was way up front. From a look at her face, it was just trying to tell me, come back and sit down next to me. I had to take permission so I can move from the back seat to the front, and they were like, vite, 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 s'il te plaît, which is really good. I'm so happy. I also speak another language, which is French, and I was able to communicate easily with the crew members. And unlike a lot of people who didn't know what's going on and had to wait for translation and stuff like that, I ran to my seat, sat down, buckled in, and the pilot, it took him a while to tell us what's going on. After a few minutes, he was able to stabilize the airplane, and it went back to almost normal, but you still can tell something's not okay. They were trying to prepare themselves for the worst, especially when the lead crew member said, préparez le toboggan, and I'm like, oh my gosh, does she mean slides? I'm not gonna slide down today. I'm not going down. And then I looked at the map. I realized we're over the Atlantic, and there's nothing but ocean underneath us. And then the pilot said, we're having a issue with the engine. We lost one of them, or one of them was not working, something like that. It was a little vague, and I'm like, did he just say engine? This is very serious. It's not something that's just, it's not, something simple or easy, or it's super traumatizing to lose an engine during a flight over the Atlantic. We were just flying so high. There's no way it was a bird strike. So it was definitely, we have lost an engine. And luckily that Airbus had 4 engines. So he was running on 3 engines, and which is awesome. He was able to stabilize it, trying to figure out. He was updating us every once in a while because he was also not sure about where he's going to take us, where we can land. He was just trying to communicate with other airports, asking them permission to land, emergency landing. He even, sent Mayday. I mean, when you say Mayday, Mayday, I'm like, that's not okay, and that's not okay. So he was able to locate a airport. He told us we're going to go ahead and land in Goose Bay in Canada. I'm like, I don't care. Land us anywhere. Just touch ground. Just do a touchdown and let those wheels touch the ground, and I'm okay with that. It took him maybe an hour. We were flying for an hour with a broken engine. I have no idea how the passengers were able to see the engine broken and were like filming on the other side. They were able to keep it and hold it together. Like, there was no screams. I'm so happy it wasn't me on that window. I would have started a wave of panic all over the airplane. But we were super quiet and calm. Maybe we were just focused. We were just focused on getting there. I sat in my seat, buckled up, put some music on, and closed my eyes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we going to tell my mom? What am I going to do with my kids? All these thoughts that come to your brain suddenly, thinking, what if? I mean, there's nothing I can do, tell my mom or my kids because I may be gone. Oh, that's not good. So we just, sat still, sat put, and didn't want to move from my seat. Just let us touch ground. Let's focus on that and be positive for a little bit. Although everything else was negative. A while later, we were able to land safely. Like, it felt like
tomorrow will be the most beautiful day of Ray McHale's life.
It's like
his breakfast will taste better than any meal you and I ever tasted.
And the whole airplane, all the passengers were clapping. It just seriously exploded with claps. Some people were crying while we were flying, crying because they thought this is it, this is the end. We're crying again of joy, tears of joy this time. I was among them. I didn't cry because I was afraid, but I cried because I was so happy. I'm like, oh my gosh, did we really just land? That's awesome. Goose Bay, whatever, just, yeah. But here's the problem. So the pilot said the engine is gone. It's melted. You will see footage in movies and, photos that I posted in my little documents. The engine is gone. Okay, fine, it's easy. We're at an airport where we can maybe grab another flight. A lot of people went on their phones, grabbed their phones, started booking the other flight to get out of there. Everyone was on time, was supposed to be on time in their, hometowns, just like us. I grabbed my phone, and first thing I see was my husband saying, oh, you're an hour late. I'm not sure if you're going to make it through LAX to go to Phoenix. I'm like, dude, you have no idea. I'm going to be, I don't know how many hours late. So, we're in Goose Bay. Goose Bay. This is where we went. Woodward Aviation Services. It's a military base, a military airport. I grabbed these because I will tell you later on about my trip to that lobby. So I went to Goose Bay office in Canada borders. Yes. Anyway, it was a military base. We were not allowed to leave the airplane. We needed to just sit down and be patient. Oh, even the pilot was like, just be patient, get some rest, go to sleep. Like, who wants to sleep now, dude? You need to get out of here. Just get us something to get us out. We were not allowed to leave the airplane. We were just trapped inside the airplane. Thank God they opened up the door, which was really a little bit of fresh air. But we were just trapped inside our airplane. This Airbus was just our home for the next almost 18 hours. Yeah, it is ridiculous, but I always think that at least we landed safely. So made it alive in one piece. So, on the airplane, we're trapped. There's nowhere to go. Everyone is trying to figure out what to do next. What's our next step? Where we can go? How do we get hotel rooms? Do we get out of the airplane so we can just come back later and grab another flight or something? None of this was possible. None of it. I had to communicate with my family, whether back in Beirut or in the USA, which really cost me a fortune, but that didn't matter at that time because we made it alive. It was all over the news later on, and everyone found out what's going on with us, and we were on that flight, and everyone freaked out. We were trying to hide it from my mom, who didn't need this stress after my dad's passing just recently, and she found out, and it was not at all something she wanted to hear. Even my siblings, like I have an almost 50-year-old brother who was sobbing when he heard our voices. It was my sister and I who were flying together. It's like, oh, Jesus, what are we gonna do? We told them to just calm down. We're talking, we're breathing, we're here. We even got on the video just to show them that we're okay and we're safe. But we're inside an airplane and there's nowhere we can go. At some point during that, they announced that, a lot of people were some smokers, and they were like, can we please get out? We need to just get out and smoke. We cannot be trapped here forever. We understand flying 11 and a half hours without smoking, but this is not going well, and we need to just go and grab a smoke, a cigarette. They allowed them to do so after taking, permission from the Canadian border people. A bus came and picked up the first trip or first few people. Only 12 people were allowed to go at a time. And then they went back and forth, of course, and then another 12 people. And then I was among the third trip with 12 people. I'm not a smoker. I'm like, you know what? I'll be a smoker today. Just get me out of here. I just need to get out. So I was so lucky to get on that bus because that was the last trip they did. And they decided to not do trips anymore. It felt so good to get on those stairs, get out of the plane, get on that bus. They drove us like 2 minutes away from that airplane. We were able to drive by the engine. The engine looked so like it was melting, and it was completely melted actually, not just melting. And it's becoming like unrecognizable. Like it wasn't an engine anymore. We're so lucky we made it, and this thing didn't blow up in midair, and the wing didn't catch fire. So we're so lucky.